I heard the words that changed everything in Mandarin Chinese. Ta jie shi jie, xi dian, lam, she's just a laundry shop owner. The woman saying it? My daughter-in-law Brittany. The woman she was talking about? Me. And the part she didn't know? I understood every single word. But let me back up, because this story doesn't start at that dinner table with $5 million on the line. It starts 37 years ago, when I stepped off a plane from Taipei with 2 suitcases, a business degree that wouldn't transfer, and a husband who promised me we'd build something beautiful together. My name is Helen Wong, and I'm 60 years old. For the last 15 years, I've owned a small laundry and alterations shop in the Sunset District of San Francisco. My hands smell like starch and steam. My back aches from bending over sewing machines. And according to my daughter-in-law, I'm an embarrassment. I wasn't always just the laundry lady. David, my late husband, and I ran 3 different businesses together. We imported ceramics. We had a small restaurant in Chinatown. We did pretty well, actually, until the 2008 recession hit and wiped us out. The laundry shop was what we could afford to start over with. It was steady. It was honest. It put our son James through Stanford. David died 5 years ago, heart attack. One day he was pressing shirts next to me, laughing at some joke, and the next day he was gone. James was devastated. We both were. But he had his tech startup to focus on, and I had the shop. We survived the way immigrant families do. We kept working. Then, 2 years ago, James married Brittany Cole. I tried. God knows I tried to connect with her. I made traditional Taiwanese pineapple cakes for their engagement party. Brittany took one bite, smiled tightly, and I overheard her tell her friend they were a little too authentic for her taste. At the wedding, I offered to help with planning. She said they had a coordinator. I offered to host a tea ceremony. She said they wanted to keep things simple and modern. I got the message. I wasn't sophisticated enough, wasn't American enough, wasn't enough, period. So I pulled back. I showed up when invited, brought neutral gifts, kept conversations light. I ran my shop. I had my regular customers who loved me. Mrs. Chen brought her grandchildren's school uniforms. Mr. Rodriguez trusted me with his late wife's wedding dress for his daughter. I had a life, but I missed my son. Our weekly dinners became monthly, then every other month. He was busy, he said. The startup was demanding. I understood. I really did. 3 weeks ago, on a Tuesday afternoon, James came into the shop. Not just a quick visit, he actually sat down in the plastic chair by the window where customers wait for alterations. "Mom, I need to ask you something." My heart jumped. He looked nervous. "What is it? Are you okay? Is Brittany okay?" "We're fine. Actually, we're better than fine." "Mom, we're about to close a Series A funding round, $5 million. I nearly dropped the shirt I was folding. "James, that's wonderful. There's a dinner. This Friday. The investors are flying in from Beijing. They're venture capitalists, but old school. Traditional. They specifically asked to meet my family. All of it. They said they only invest in founders who have strong family support." Something in his voice made me pause. And Brittany thinks. We both think. It would be good if you came. We both think. But I heard what he didn't say. I'd met my son when he was 1 hour old, held him against my chest while he screamed his first scream. I knew his tells. Brittany doesn't want me there. "Mom, that's not..." "But the investors want to meet family, so she has to include me." He looked down at his hands. My Stanford-educated son, my brilliant boy, couldn't look me in the eye. "It's fine, James. I'll come." "What time?" The relief on his face made my heart hurt. 7 o'clock, Friday, at the house. "Mom, Brittany's been stressed about this pitch. Everything has to be perfect. So maybe I'll be quiet and smile." "I know." After he left, I sat in that plastic chair and let myself feel it. The humiliation, the anger, the sadness. Then I got up and finished Mrs. Chen's order, because that's what you do. You keep going. That night, my phone buzzed. A text from Brittany. First one in months. "Helen, so glad you can make it Friday. Just for your information, investors are very formal. Maybe wear something simple and elegant. Also, they'll probably speak some Mandarin, so don't worry if you can't follow everything. Just smile and nod." We'll handle the business talk. See you at 7. I stared at that text for a long time. The assumptions in every line. That I didn't own elegant clothes. That I couldn't understand Mandarin. That I was some prop to be positioned and told when to smile. She had no idea that David and I had spent 2 years learning Mandarin for our ceramics import business, that I'd negotiated with manufacturers in Guangzhou, that I'd translated contracts and argued over prices and built relationships with suppliers who still sent me New Year's cards. She had no idea, because she'd never asked. She'd seen a 60-year-old woman who owned a laundry shop and decided that was all there was to know. Friday came. I closed the shop early. I went home to my small apartment above a dim sum restaurant and opened my closet. In the back, wrapped in plastic, was the kipao I'd worn to James's Stanford graduation. Midnight blue silk with silver embroidery. I'd bought it in Taipei during my last visit to see my mother before she passed. It still fit. I did my makeup carefully, pulled my hair back into a simple bun, put on the jade earrings David gave me for our 20th anniversary. When I looked in the mirror, I saw my mother. Dignified, graceful, strong. I arrived at James and Brittany's house in Pacific Heights at exactly 7. Their house was beautiful, 3 stories of Victorian elegance that probably cost $4 million. My laundry shop would fit in their living room. Brittany opened the door. Her smile faltered for just a second when she saw me. "Helen, you look. That's quite a dress." "Thank you." "You said elegant." "Yes. I just meant..." "Never mind. Come in. The investors aren't here yet. Can I get you some water?" "Not tea. Water." In a house with a full kitchen and a Chinese dinner planned. The dining room table was set beautifully. Brittany had hired a catering company that specialized in fusion Asian cuisine. I saw the menu on the counter. Miso-glazed Chilean sea bass, Thai basil fried rice, Korean short ribs. None of it was Chinese. James came downstairs in a suit. He kissed my cheek. "You look beautiful, Mom." "Thank you, baby." Brittany's phone buzzed. "They're pulling up." "Okay, remember, let me and James do most of the talking. These investors are very traditional about business. They probably won't direct many questions to you anyway, Helen." The doorbell rang. I'd expected older men in suits. What I got was a power couple in their 50s. Mr. Liu wore a perfectly tailored gray suit. Mrs. Liu was in an elegant pantsuit, her hair cut in a sharp bob, her eyes sharp and assessing. Behind them was a younger man, maybe 30, who introduced himself as Kevin, their associate. The bows. The handshakes. The business cards presented with 2 hands. Brittany and James tried their best, but I could see Mrs. Liu's expression, polite but unimpressed. Then Mrs. Liu turned to me and bowed deeply. "Ne hei o. Hen gao xing ren shi ne." "Hello, very pleased to meet you." I bowed back, same depth, proper respect, but I didn't speak, not yet. Brittany jumped in. "This is James's mother, Helen. Mom, they're saying hello." Mrs. Liu's eyebrow quirked slightly. She'd caught that. The assumption. We moved to the living room for tea. Brittany had clearly Googled what to do. She'd bought a nice tea set, but when she poured, she filled the cups too full. Mrs. Liu noticed. I noticed her notice. The conversation started. James talked about his startup, an AI platform for supply chain optimization. The investors asked good questions, sharp questions. James had answers, but I could see him getting nervous. Then Mrs. Liu asked, "Tell me about your family. How did they support you building this company?" James smiled. "My mom always believed in me. She and my late father put me through Stanford. They made a lot of sacrifices." "What business was your father in?" There was the smallest pause. James glanced at Brittany. Brittany answered. "They owned several small businesses. Very hard-working people. Several small businesses." Like it was embarrassing to say the word laundry. Mr. Liu turned to me. "And you, Mrs. Wang? You still work?" Before I could answer, Brittany laughed. "Oh, Helen still runs her little shop. She loves it, keeps her busy. Little shop? What kind of shop?" Kevin asked. Another pause. James cleared his throat. "It's a laundry and alterations business, in Sunset District." "Ah," Mrs. Liu said. "Honest work." We moved to dinner. The fusion cuisine was pretty but bland. I watched Mrs. Liu take polite bites, her face neutral. This wasn't food that reminded anyone of home. The business talk continued. James presented his pitch. The investors asked about burn rate, customer acquisition costs, competitive advantages. He had good answers. Then Mr. Liu asked, "What makes you different from the other founders we could invest in? Why should we trust you with $5 million?" James took a breath. This was his moment. I understand perseverance. I watched my parents build businesses from nothing. They came to this country with almost nothing and created a life. That's in my DNA. I know how to work hard. I know how to survive setbacks. And I know that success isn't about quick wins. It's about steady, persistent effort. It was a good answer. He meant it. I could see it in his eyes when he glanced at me. Mrs. Liu nodded slowly. Then she turned to me and asked in Mandarin, "Ni jue de xian me yang? Ni dui ni erzi de gongzi yeu shen me kanfer?" What do you think? What's your opinion of your son's company? The table went quiet. James and Brittany looked at each other. They'd understood maybe 3 words of that. I stayed silent, smiled politely. Mrs. Liu waited. A test. She was testing to see if I understood. Brittany leaned forward. "I'm sorry, we don't. Mom doesn't speak Mandarin." And that's when it happened. Brittany turned to Mrs. Liu and spoke in Mandarin. Not fluent, but competent. She must have been studying. "Du bouquet. Ta bu zang sheng ji. Ta je shi je si idian. La why min ai ta. Yan shi ta bu neng bang zu je yang de yu wa." I'm sorry. She doesn't understand business. She's just a laundry shop owner. We love her, but she can't help with conversations like this. Then she added, and this is the part that made my hands clench in my lap. "Lo shi shuo wa men bu xing ta xin tiang lai, zang ni men yao kiu zang za ren. Ta hen ho, zu shi yu din. Wa shi le, bu shi he ze zung chak nge." Honestly, we didn't want her here today, but you requested to meet family. She's very nice, just a bit. Outdated, not suitable for this kind of setting. The room was very quiet. James was looking at his plate. He hadn't understood. Kevin, the associate, had gone very still. He'd understood. So had Mr. and Mrs. Liu. Mrs. Liu's face could have been carved from stone. I felt something inside me that I hadn't felt in a long time. Not since David died and I realized I had to fight for myself because no one else would. Not anger, not yet. Something colder. Something clearer. I looked up and met Mrs. Liu's eyes directly. Then I spoke. In Mandarin. Fluent, Beijing accented Mandarin that I'd perfected over years of business calls. "Wa hen le ji sheng ji. Wa de zang fu he wa gong ling gai shi zang li le sang jia ji ye. Wa men jing gao tao si. Wa men gai le gan ting. Wa men zai ling ling ba nan jin ji swa tui si ku le ike. Zan ho chang sin gai si. Si idian shi va men nang fu dan de gai si. Ta ge le valmen sheng kun de fang fa. Ta wei wa erzi de si ton fu sue fei moi dang. Wai ta wei rong. I understand business very well. My husband and I built 3 companies from zero. We imported ceramics. We ran a restaurant. We lost everything in the 2008 recession and started over. The laundry shop was what we could afford to rebuild with. It gave us a way to survive. It paid for my son's Stanford education. I'm proud of it. Brittany's face had gone white. James was staring at me like I'd just appeared from another dimension. I continued, looking at Mrs. Liu, not at them. "Wa zi dao chuangyang gong si su yao shen mei. Wa zi dao si bai de zi wei he chong lai de yang ki. Wa zi dao zai ni mei yu zi wang si rue se zua. Zai ni mei yu ren mai si rue zang li wang si. Wa za wa de erzi zezie dong si. Bu zi tonga yang lun. Ersi tonga ta kanda wa men mietiang zo de shiking." I know what it takes to build a company. I know the taste of failure and the courage to start again. I know how to negotiate when you have no resources, how to build relationships when you have no network. I taught my son these things, not through words, but through what he saw us do every day. Mrs. Liu's expression had shifted. There was something like satisfaction in her eyes. I turned to Brittany. Still in Mandarin. 你觉得我个是嘞，也查你是觉得。我想有另一个时代，一个我们不会因为他们的导致而计划故事的时代，一个我们尊重家类的敬畏的时代，一个我们不评论不在放这样里的人的时代，因为我们只是他们听不上。You think I'm outdated? Perhaps you're right. I'm from a different era, one where we didn't prettify our stories for investors, one where we respected our elders, one where we didn't talk about people who weren't in the room because we assumed they couldn't understand. Then I switched to English, for James. I learned Mandarin 30 years ago because your father and I needed it for our business. We spent 2 years taking classes at City College at night after working 12-hour days. We needed to speak to our suppliers, to negotiate, to build trust. Language is about respect, James. It's about showing people you care enough to meet them where they are. My son's face crumpled. Mom, I didn't know. You never asked. My voice was gentle, not accusing, just true. Neither of you asked about my life before the laundry shop, about what your father and I built, about how we built it. You saw a woman who ironed shirts and you thought that was all there was to see. Brittany found her voice. It was shaking. Helen, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean... You meant exactly what you said. That I'm an embarrassment, that I'm not suitable, that you didn't want me here. I was nervous. I wanted everything to be perfect for. Perfect! I let the word hang there. You hired caterers to make Korean and Thai and Japanese food for Chinese investors. You filled teacups to the brim, which is considered rude. You let your husband give a speech about perseverance and family while sitting next to his mother who you just called outdated. What exactly did you think was perfect about this? Mrs. Liu spoke then, in English, but directed at me. Mrs. Wang, your Mandarin is excellent. Beijing accent, yes? Yes. My teacher was from Beijing. She was very strict. The best ones are, she turned to James and Brittany. In our culture, we have a concept called xiaoxun, filial piety. It means respect for parents and elders. It's not optional. It's not something you do when it's convenient. It's the foundation of character. Mr. Liu added, We've seen many pitches, many smart founders with good ideas, but we invest in character, in values, in people who understand that business is built on relationships, and relationships are built on respect. The silence that followed was suffocating. Kevin, the associate, spoke quietly. Mrs. Wang, may I ask what happened to your other businesses? The ceramic import business ended when our main supplier retired and his sons didn't want to continue. The restaurant. I paused. We sold it in 2007. We saw the recession coming. We got out before we lost everything. We were lucky. That's not luck, Kevin said. That's smart business. It's both. Always both. Mrs. Liu stood up. I think we should go. James shot to his feet. Please, I know this dinner didn't go as planned, but the business itself, the business is sound, Mr. Liu said. Your technology is impressive. Your market analysis is thorough. But we need to discuss this internally. They said their goodbyes. Polite. Formal. Mrs. Liu bowed to me, deeper than before. I bowed back. She held my eyes for a moment and I saw something there. Not pity. Understanding. When the door closed behind them, the house felt enormous and empty. Brittany turned on me immediately. How could you do that? Do you have any idea what you just... Brittany. James's voice was quiet. Dangerous. I'd never heard him use that tone with her. Stop talking. But she what? Defended herself? Told the truth? He ran his hands through his hair. Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm so incredibly sorry. For what exactly? I kept my voice level. For not knowing I spoke Mandarin? Or for being ashamed of what I do? I'm not ashamed. You couldn't even say the word laundry to those investors. Brittany called it my little shop. Like it's a hobby. Like it's something cute I do to pass the time. That's not what I meant, Brittany said, but her voice was weak. Do you know what I do in my little shop? I asked her. Mrs. Chen brings me her grandson's school uniforms every week. He's 7. He gets teased for being chubby. I let out the waist on his pants so they're comfortable, but I take in the legs so they look sharp, so he can feel good about himself. Mr. Rodriguez's daughter is getting married in her mother's wedding dress. Her mother died 2 years ago. I'm taking that dress apart and rebuilding it to fit her, and every stitch I put in, I'm thinking about how much love that mother had for her daughter. This is what I do. I take care of people. Tears were running down my face now. I hadn't meant to cry. I raised you to be better than this, James. I taught you to work hard, to be honest, to respect people regardless of their station in life. And tonight, you let your wife insult me in front of strangers because you thought I wouldn't understand. That's not the man your father and I raised. James was crying too. You're right. Mom, you're absolutely right. I got caught up in trying to impress them, trying to be someone I thought they wanted to invest in. I forgot who I actually am. I forgot where I came from. You came from 2 people who loved you, I said, who worked themselves to exhaustion to give you opportunities, who never once made you feel like you were a burden or an embarrassment. Can you say the same? He couldn't answer that. I picked up my purse. I'm going to go. Mom, please. I need some time, James, and you two need to talk, really talk, about what kind of people you want to be, what kind of marriage you want to have, because if it's one where you speak badly about family members in languages you think they don't understand, I want no part of it. Helen, I'll apologize, Brittany said desperately. I'll do whatever. I don't want your apology tonight. It wouldn't be real. It would be because you're afraid you cost James his funding. Apologize when you actually understand what you did wrong. If you ever do, I walked out of that beautiful Pacific Heights house and took the bus back to my neighborhood. It was 9:30 on a Friday night. The dim sum restaurant below my apartment was still open. I could smell roast duck and scallion pancakes. I went upstairs, took off my beautiful kipao, washed my face, put on my pajamas. Then I sat on my couch and let myself fall apart. Because here's the thing nobody tells you about standing up for yourself. It hurts. Even when you're right, even when you're justified, it still hurts to watch your son cry. It still hurts to walk away from your only family. But David's voice was in my head, the way it always was when I needed him most. Jiomei, he'd say. Little sister, his nickname for me. You are not small. You are not less than. You are a warrior. I fell asleep on the couch and woke up at 6 the next morning to pounding on my door. It was James. He looked like he hadn't slept. Mom, please, can we talk? I made tea. Real tea. In my grandmother's teapot. We sat at my small kitchen table, the one David had refinished by hand. Brittany and I talked all night, James said. Really talked. For the first time in months. Maybe the first time ever about things that matter. I waited. She's scared. She's been terrified since we got married that she's not good enough, that she doesn't understand my background, that I'll wake up one day and realize I married someone who doesn't fit into my world. So she decided I was the problem. She decided if she could be more successful than you, more polished, more American, then she'd prove she belonged. She's been trying so hard to be perfect that she lost track of being kind. That doesn't excuse what she said. No, it doesn't. And she knows that. She's devastated, Mom. She wants to talk to you, but I told her she has to wait, that she hurt you deeply, and she needs to sit with that. I sipped my tea. It was too hot. I sipped it anyway. Did they pull the funding? I don't know. Probably. I don't care right now. James, I mean it. Last night you asked what kind of man I wanted to be. I want to be the kind who puts his mother first, who remembers where he came from, who doesn't sacrifice his values for money. $5 million is a lot of money. Not enough. He reached across the table and took my hand. Mom, will you tell me about the businesses you and Dad ran? About learning Mandarin? About all the things I should have asked years ago? So I did. I told him everything. About the ceramic warehouse in Guangzhou. About the restaurant that seated 40 people and served the best Dan Dan noodles in Chinatown. About the night in 2007 when David and I sat at this very table and made the hardest decision of our lives, to sell while we still could, before we lost everything. About learning Mandarin from Mrs. Zhang, who charged us almost nothing because she said we reminded her of her own children. About the first time I successfully negotiated a shipping rate and felt like I could do anything. About the laundry shop and how the first year I cried every single day because it felt like failure, until Mrs. Chen came in with her grandson's uniforms and told me I was an artist, that I made people feel cared for. That was worth something. About missing his father every single day, about being proud of James but feeling distant from him, about being lonely. We talked for 3 hours. My son, really seeing me for the first time in years. I want to help at the shop, he said finally. 1 day a week, maybe Saturdays, learn the business, spend time with you. You don't have to. I want to. I need to, Mom. I need to remember who I am. 3 weeks went by. James came to the shop every Saturday. He was terrible at ironing, but good with customers. People loved him. Brittany sent flowers. A card. A long email. I didn't respond. I wasn't ready. The investors didn't call. Then, on a Tuesday morning, Mrs. Liu walked into my shop. I looked up from the sewing machine. Mrs. Liu. Mrs. Wang. I hope I'm not disturbing you. Of course not. Please, sit. I gestured to the plastic chair. She sat, looked around the shop, at the pressed shirts hanging in neat rows, at the alterations waiting to be picked up, at my sewing machine, which was older than James. I wanted to see it, she said. The place that raised a young man who could build an AI company, the place that taught him perseverance. It's just a laundry shop. No, it's much more than that. I can see it. She paused. We're funding James's company. 5 million. But we have conditions. My heart jumped. What conditions? We want you on the advisory board. I stared at her. What? We invest in founders who have support. Family support. Real support, not performance. James called me 4 days ago. He told me what happened after we left, how you and he talked, how he's working at your shop now, how he's remembering his roots. She smiled. That's the kind of character we invest in, the kind that can admit mistakes and change. Mrs. Liu, I appreciate this, but I don't know anything about AI or... You know about building businesses from nothing, about surviving recessions, about customer relationships, about what matters. She leaned forward. These young founders, they know technology. They know disruption, but they don't always know people. They don't know how to build something that lasts. You do. I run a laundry shop. You run a business that has survived for 15 years in one of the most expensive cities in America. You have loyal customers. You have a reputation. You have wisdom. That's what we want James to have access to. That's what we want to invest in. I thought about David, about how he always said success wasn't about the biggest building or the most employees. It was about still being there when others had given up. I'll do it, I said. On one condition. Name it. Brittany has to be part of this too. She made a mistake, a bad one, but I think she wants to learn. She needs to learn, and I'd rather teach her than punish her. Mrs. Liu studied me for a long moment. Then she nodded. You are very wise, Mrs. Wang. Or very stupid. Time will tell. That Saturday, James brought Brittany to the shop. She stood in the doorway like she was afraid to come in. Helen, come help me with this wedding dress, I said. She blinked. What? This dress. I need to take it in 3 inches at the waist and let it out 2 inches at the hips. It's delicate work. You said you wanted to learn, so come learn. She came. She sat next to me at the sewing machine. Her hands were shaking as I showed her how to pin the fabric. Why are you doing this? She whispered. Because you're my son's wife. Because you're going to be the mother of my grandchildren someday. Because family doesn't give up on family, even when it's hard. I don't deserve. Maybe not. But I'm not doing this because you deserve it. I'm doing it because this is who I am. This is what I believe in. We worked in silence for a while. Then she said, Tell me about the ceramics business. Please, I want to know. So I told her. And she listened, really listened. It's been 4 months now. James's company is growing. I go to advisory board meetings once a month and feel completely out of place among all these young tech people. But when I talk about customer retention or building trust, they listen. They take notes. Brittany comes to the shop every Wednesday. We work together. We talk. She's learning Mandarin. Real lessons this time, not just business phrases. She's trying. Last week, she brought me a gift. A framed photo of David and me from James's graduation. We're standing in front of Stanford's gates, David's arm around my shoulders, both of us grinning like we'd won the lottery. James told me about his father, she said, about everything you two built together. I'm sorry I never asked before. You're asking now. That's what matters, she cried then. The kind of crying that comes from deep shame and the beginning of healing. I want to be better, she said. I want to be someone you're proud to call family. Then be someone you're proud to be, I told her. The rest will follow. I still run my laundry shop. I still press shirts and hem pants and rebuild wedding dresses. But now James comes every Saturday. Brittany comes every Wednesday. Sometimes they bring friends. Sometimes those friends become customers. Mrs. Chen told me last week that her grandson asked if my son could teach him about computers. He thinks your family is so smart, she said. He wants to be like you. I think about that a lot, about what it means to be seen. Really seen. For so long, I thought being the laundry lady meant being invisible. But I was wrong. Every person who trusts me with their grandmother's tablecloth or their child's prom dress is seeing me. They're trusting me with their memories, their celebrations, their important moments. That dinner party taught me something, not about standing up for myself. I already knew how to do that. It taught me that sometimes the people who should see you most clearly are the ones who've stopped looking. But it's never too late for them to open their eyes. It's never too late to be seen. My name is Helen Wong. I'm 60 years old. I own a laundry shop in the Sunset District of San Francisco. I'm an advisory board member for a $5 million tech startup. I speak fluent Mandarin and English. I'm a widow, a mother, a soon-to-be grandmother. And I am not outdated. I am not a burden. I am not just anything. I am exactly enough.